the complete arsenal. U.S. aviation in the Korean War. When North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel, they had no idea they were about to face the most diverse air armada ever assembled. From the desperate days of the Busan perimeter to the legendary dogfights over MiG-Alley, American aviation wrote its most dramatic chapter. This is every aircraft that fought in Korea, the fighters that ruled the Ski-51D Mustang, the legend's last stand, the P-51, now redesignated F-51, came out of retirement for one final war. Jets owned the sky, but down in the valleys where speed meant death, the Mustang was king, flying barely above the treetops. These warbirds delivered napalm and rockets where no jet dared to follow. F-82, twin Mustang, first blood picture, two Mustangs welded together with a radar pod between them. This bizarre creation scored the war's very first air-to-air kill, downing a North Korean Yak-11 in the opening hours of combat. America's last mass-produced piston fighter had arrived. F-4U-4 Corsair, the bent-wing devil, that distinctive gull-wing silhouette struck fear into enemy troops. The Navy and Marines' workhorse delivered the war's finest close air support, and in one legendary moment, a Corsair pilot proved propeller aircraft weren't obsolete by shooting down a MiG-15 jet, F-4U-5N. Corsair, the Night Hunter, same Corsair, different mission, with a radar pod mounted on the wing. These specialized hunters stalked North Korean Bedcheck Charlie biplanes that harassed UN positions after dark. O-1 Corsair, the Marines' hammer built specifically for Korea. The AU-1 stripped away high-altitude equipment to carry maximum armor and devastating bomb loads. This was low-level attack perfected for the Marines fighting in the mountains. A-2 Skyraider, the bomb truck, one engine, more ordnance than a B-17 bomber. This massive beast could circle the battlefield for hours, systematically destroying enemy supply lines. They called it the flying dump truck for good reason. A-4 Skyraider, the dam buster, the upgraded version, packed even more punch. Only the Skyraider had the capability to take out North Korea's heavily fortified dams, using torpedoes in daring low-level attacks that would make World War II pilots proud. F-7F Tigercat, beauty and brutality. This twin-engine heavy fighter was too fast for escort duty, so the Marines used it where it excelled, as a night fighter, hunting enemy aircraft before they could reach the fleet. F-8F Bearcat, the speed demon, though mostly retired. Small numbers defended the fleet in the war's early days before jets took over. When they flew, they were the hottest piston fighters in the sky. F-6F Hellcat, the kamikaze drone in war's strangest twist. Obsolete Hellcats were packed with explosives and converted into remote-controlled missiles. Their final mission, destroying heavily defended North Korean bridges. The jet-age Aravis Fady, Shooting Star, the Pioneer, America's first combat jet, scored the first jet-versus-jet victory in history against a MiG-15, but its straight wings couldn't keep up and so it became a devastating ground attacker instead. F-84 Thunderjet, the bridge killer. While Sabres fought MiGs overhead, Thunderjets obliterated everything on the ground. Rugged and heavily armed, they demolished North Korea's dams and railways, one target at a time. F-86A Sabre, the first response when MiG-15s appeared over Korea. The early Sabres rushed to meet them. Gun jams and engine problems plagued these first models, but they held the line until better versions arrived. F-86E Sabre, the game-changer. The all-flying tail transformed the Sabre into a dogfighting monster. Now American pilots could outturn the MiG-15 in the high-G knife fights of MiG-Alley. F-86F Sabre, air dominance. This was the ultimate Korean warfighter. A more powerful engine and redesigned wing let it match the MiG-15 at any altitude. U.S. air superiority was secured for the rest of the war. F-9F2 Panther, navy blue, famous for its distinctive blue paint and incredible durability. The Panther was the Navy's primary carrier jet. Future astronaut Neil Armstrong flew this stable gun platform in combat. F-9F5 Panther, the upgraded Warrior, more power, same reliability. The F-9F5 became the backbone of Navy strike operations, hammering inland targets while absorbing heavy anti-aircraft fire. F-9F6 Cougar, too late to the fight. The Navy's swept-wing answer to the MiG arrived in the war's final months, though it flew combat patrols. The armistice came before it could prove itself. F-2H2 Banshee, the high-altitude escort. This twin-engine carrier fighter operated where the air was thin, escorting B-29s deep into enemy territory and conducting vital reconnaissance missions. F-3D Sky Knight, Willie the Whale, ungainly, wide, and packed with radar. The Sky Knight owned the darkness. It scored more night kills against enemy aircraft than any other type, proof that beauty doesn't win wars. F-94 Starfire, the late arrival. America's first afterburner-equipped jet, arrived late but made its mark. Using pure speed, it protected air bases and intercepted night intruders that other aircraft couldn't catch. The bombers that brought the thunder. Invader, the Night Hunter, this fast twin-engine bomber prowled North Korean supply routes after dark, its nose-mounted guns shredding trucks and trains trying to move under cover of darkness. B-29 Superfortress, the heavy hitter returns. The atomic bomber of World War II came back for one more fight. It flattened North Korean industry, but MiG jets forced these giants to switch to night bombing runs. B-45 Tornado, America's first jet bomber, limited bombing action but crucial for high-speed reconnaissance. The Tornado mapped the entire peninsula for UN forces at speeds enemy fighters couldn't match. RB-5 Superfortress, dancing with death. These upgraded B-29s flew dangerous reconnaissance missions along the Soviet border. Soviet MiGs often engaged them in combat that could have sparked World War III. PB-4Y2 Privateer. The Sea Sentinel-A stretched B-2 for Liberator, adapted for maritime patrol. The Navy used it for long-range missions and Firefly operations, dropping flares to illuminate targets for night attackers. P-2V Neptune, the harbor miner. This modern patrol aircraft laid mines in North Korean harbors and disrupted coastal shipping, keeping the naval blockade unbreakable. TBM Mariner, the rescue boat. This massive amphibian could land in open ocean to retrieve downed pilots or support special operations. Few sights were more welcome to a pilot in the water. P-5M Marlin, the modern replacement, arriving late in the war. This advanced flying boat featured improved hull design and radar for long-endurance patrols over the Yellow Sea. SA-16 Albatross, the Angel, designed specifically for search and rescue. This rugged amphibian saved hundreds of pilots from freezing waters, often landing under enemy coastal fire. True heroes flew these. SB-Zavon Flying Fortress, the rescue foretold. B-17 bombers got new life-carrying heavy lifeboats that could be parachuted to stranded aircrews. Even in retirement, the Flying Fortress saved lives. The transports that kept the war moving for 7 Skytrain, the Goonie Bird, the Eternal Transport, flew supplies in and wounded out, landing on rough dirt strips no other aircraft could handle. If the war had a workhorse, this was ITC-46 Commando, the heavy hauler, larger and more powerful than the C-47. It carried bulk cargo over Korea's mountains. Temperamental engines kept mechanics busy, but it got the job done. C-5 for Skymaster, the Pacific Bridge. This four-engine transport was the backbone of the Trans-Pacific Airlift, flying critical personnel and priority cargo from Japan and the US to Korea. C-119 Flying Boxcar, the chosen savior with its distinctive twin-boom tail and clamshell doors. It could drop bridges, jeeps, and massive ammunition loads. It saved the Marines, surrounded a chosen reservoir. C-12 for Globemaster II, old shaky, entering service during the war. This giant could carry tanks and heavy artillery directly into theater. Strategic airlift had been revolutionized. C-121 Constellation, the VIP military version of the famous airliner, served as medical evacuation, aircraft and personal transport for General MacArthur and other top commanders. C-97 Stratofreighter, the fat cousin based on the B-29 airframe. This double-decker transport flew heavy cargo runs late in the war, previewing the massive airlifters of the future. The forward controllers and trainers. T-6G Mosquito, the brave ones, modified T-6 Texan trainers flown by pilots with ice in their veins. They flew low and slow to mark targets with smoke rockets, drawing heavy fire so fighter bombers could strike accurately. T-33 Shooting Star, the combat classroom. This two-seat version of the F-80 trained pilots in theater on jet warfare before they climbed into a Sabre to face. MIGSL for Grasshopper, the fabrics militarized Piper Cub used for artillery spotting and liaison, operating from roads and rice paddies. Slow, vulnerable, but essential. L-5 Sentinel, the flying ambulance, faster and tougher than the L-4. It evacuated wounded soldiers from the front lines and delivered urgent messages to commanders under fire. L-19 Bird Dog, the modern spotter. All-metal construction and better performance made this the definitive spotter aircraft. It directed airstrikes with pinpoint accuracy from dangerously close range. L-20 Beaver, the mountain climber. This rugged bushplane could take off and land almost anywhere, ferrying generals and supplies to the most inaccessible mountain outposts. The helicopters that changed war forever. 5 Dragonfly, proving the concept one of the first combat helicopters. Fragile and limited, but it proved search and rescue from behind enemy lines was possible.